I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Marby, and you're listening to another episode of the Man Listen Show. Before we get started, let's hear a few words from our sponsors.
DD's Daiquiris is your #1 supplier of premium daiquiri mixes. You will love the taste of our classic margarita and signature strawberry mixes. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at DD's Daiquiris. DD is spelled D-E-E-D-E-E. You can also find us at www.dd'sdaiquiris.com. DD's Daiquiris, giving good vibes to good people, one good drink at a time.
Are you looking for a virtual assistant who can help you with your scheduling, travel, research, and expenses? Demi Virtual Solutions is the answer for you. Demi Virtual Solutions also provides mobile notary services. They will travel to take care of your needs. So if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and need a virtual assistant or are looking for mobile notary services, contact them at 469-522-9005, and you can find them on their website at demivirtualsolutions.com. That's D-E-M-I virtualsolutions.com. Are you in the state of Texas and looking for a knowledgeable loan advisor that will walk you through the process from application to closing? Well, then you need to contact Joe Byers at Trinity Oaks Mortgage. Trinity Oaks Mortgage offers FHA, VA, and conventional loans. They also have a first-time homebuyers program available. There is also down payment assistance available as well. Make sure you contact Joe Byers at Trinity Oaks Mortgage. You can reach Joe at 972-512-8990. Please buy the new book by Erika Nicole Moore, Diabolical Tales of Woe. Diabolical Tales of Woe is a thrilling collection of short horror stories that leave you in an excited trepidation to see what will happen next. Prepare to face one horrific encounter after the next in this captivating novel. You can find this book on Amazon in the Kindle and paperback version. That is Diabolical Tales of Woe by Erika Nicole Moore.
More Grace Counseling and Mediation Services offers individual and relationship counseling as well as mediation services to the community. At More Grace, healthy partnerships are valuable and beneficial. Please visit the website www.moregracecounseling.com for more information about our approach to counseling. More Grace Counseling and Mediation Services, where we offer more grace and more healing.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Man Listen Show. You can also subscribe to the show on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, basically anywhere you can find your podcast. Please share the show and make sure you use the hashtag ManListen. I'm your host, Marv B. Let's bring the crew in. All right, y'all. So Monique, back in the news. Monique, my favorite, one of my favorites, back in the news. So apparently she took to her Instagram. She went on tour for her comedy show, and she didn't like what she saw at the airport. She saw a bunch of Black women with their bonnets on, with their scarves on, with their pajamas on, with their slippers on at the airport. And she proceeded to give them some advice from Auntie, as she put it. Monique's 53, so she's at that stage where she could give sage advice, in my personal opinion. But she said, hey, listen, what happened to the pride when we leave the house? And she encouraged the young Black women to step their game up and not wear their bonnets and their scarves and their pajamas and slippers when they leave the house. And she said, be prepared for me to tap you on your shoulder if you do that, to tell you, hey, listen, you need to step your game up. And people, gave her a lot of flack for that. She was policing black women and da 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 da. And she came back with another video and she said, hey, I'll stand by what I said. I'm saying it with love. And people did it to me, so I'm doing it to y'all. So what were your thoughts when you seen it? I see Erika looking side-eye, so I know she got something to say about it. Go ahead and say it.
Hey, she tapped me on the shoulder. It's gonna be the last shoulder she tapped. I tell you that right now. She ain't my auntie. I work hard. Like, I legitimately work really, really hard. And so I don't need any extra anything from anybody. I get it. You only get one chance to make a first impression. You're in public. You want people to kind of feel a certain way about you. But I really don't care. I'm at the age and the stage in my life where I've earned the right to do whatever it is I want to do. And you can say something to me, but you're not going to like my response. And yes, like last week, I went to Baltimore to see my ace. And the night before, I roller set my hair. And while I was making dinner, I realized I needed something from the grocery store. If you think I was about to unroller my hair that took me 2 hours to do and take my bonnet off and then go to the grocery store and then come back home and do it all over again just so Monique could be pleased, please, not going to happen. I go out in my pajamas. I go out in my bonnet. And what you mean I can't have a blanket on at the airport? So I'm just supposed to be cold on the plane to make you happy? That's crazy. And she can just kiss my ass.
Hey, all right.
All right.
Laugh.
I tend to side with Erika on this one. I don't know, man. I kind of understand her thought process and where she's coming from. At the same token, though, I feel like she is trying to say that if you're not dressed a certain way, you don't deserve a certain modicum of respect. That if you are dressed down, then that gives people free reign to treat you how they want to treat you. You're not a queen if you have a bonnet on. That makes absolutely no sense to me. I think that says more about the other person if they treat you differently because you are dressed down. That definitely says more about the person that's on the other end that's treating you differently. And to top it off, of all weekends, this wasn't the weekend. This Memorial Day weekend. Half these girls getting flued out. So they already, got whatever they got lined up. They trying to dress down. They don't want guys hollering at them because, cats will get carried away if you dress to the nines at the airport because everybody's traveling. Cats going to be trying to holler and spit, and maybe for their mental sanity, their own comfort, their own safety. I don't know. Maybe they feel that that's something that they need to do to dress down, not draw attention to themselves.
I disagree with both of you, and I agree with Monique. I think that it is a bit raggedy to be out in public with stuff that is quote unquote house garb. I think that applies to men as well. I've always stressed to my son, you don't leave the house with a do-rag on your head. You don't walk out the house, with just, shorts and a wife beater on, you know what I mean? Unless you're going to somewhere like, like the gym, somewhere where you're going to be, changing, or you're going to be putting on, it's something somewhere appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate for the airport. I don't think it's appropriate for the grocery store. I don't think it's appropriate for the mall. And I've seen all those things. I've seen young men with their do-rags on at basketball games. I've seen young women wearing bonnets and pajamas to, department stores. And I think it's raggedy. I mean, and it may be how I was raised. I grew up in the early 80s. I was born in the late 70s, grew up in the early 80s when people had jerry curls. And I remember, if you remember you had a jerry curl, you had your curl bag, right? To keep the activator on when you slept, to keep it nice and leisurely. And I just, was taught my mom, like, don't be going to the, I never had a curl, but when she would see people at the grocery store with their curl bags on, she would frown upon it. Like, that's for the house. Like, have some sense of pride when you leave the house. Now, does that mean that you should approach somebody and tell them to do better? Not necessarily, because clearly people don't want to be corrected, and I think that's an issue. And I think that's a major issue because Monique is 53, and if she's not able to tell younger women, "Hey, listen, do better," then who can? If me at 44 or me when I get to my 50s can't tell young men, "Hey, listen, pull your pants up. Hey, take that do-rag off. Hey, stop talking that way when there's women around," then who are they going to listen to? Now, I don't believe it's my place as a black man to tell black women that wearing your bonnet in public looks raggedy. But the question I have is, if a black woman can't do it, then who can?
Nobody. Leave me alone.
Right. Why do you have to tell somebody that? If they feel comfortable to wear it, let them wear it.
See, guess what you're doing while you walking through the airport looking at what other people have on? You're not minding your business. Worry about you. Worry about what you're doing, the money that you making, the moves that you making, and how you presenting yourself, because that's really the only thing that you have control over. Now, I'm not saying that if somebody's doing something outrageous and it's impacting you, you can't, do something. If you want to mentor and you want to tell those mentees that, this is what you feel is acceptable, that's fine. But to come at Black women in general from her position where she has, a large audience of people listening to her, that's just one more person attacking Black women. That's just one more thing that people can say about us now. And it's like,
But who can correct black women? Now, now
nobody
you
needs
know. Now you
to.
know. Now wait a minute. Now wait a minute. Out of everybody, everybody should know, if they watch this show, we've done 75 episodes. This is the 76. If anybody has black women's back, it's Marv B. So I think I've earned the right to ask that question. Wink, wink, because it seems to me that with some of our sisters, and I'll say some of our sisters, like there's like a one-way aggression. Like, I get we should protect our sisters, but like, you can't say anything to black women. Like I get that, when you say it's just one more thing, when is correction valid? When can an elder say, listen, that's not right?
So you don't
That's
know
yeah.
these people. Me and my husband had this conversation the other day, and in a similar context, um, judging things like people pumping gas. There's this meme going around of some mom talking about look, my son's a gentleman, he's pumping my gas and he's like 2. And he's like, Mom, I'm gonna do it. Your son didn't say all that. Like, you propped him up in front of that gas pump. And then so it's like, okay, well, in the context of when you see women pumping gas and then people judge that, we name, just in the process of a 5-minute conversation, so many situations that you shouldn't judge. Like, my daughter, even though she's out of her cast and her braces, she can't lift more than 5 pounds, but you see me carrying 18 bags and my daughter carrying nothing, you're gonna be like, why that child ain't helping her mom carry any bags? I saw this dude at the gas pump while we're having the conversation. He only had one arm. So if he had a girlfriend or something and she's pumping gas, completely valid. One of my husband's friends.
No, it's not. You got one. You don't need one arm to pump gas, but go ahead.
Listen, or my husband's friend is in a wheelchair. It's gonna take her longer to get him out into the wheelchair and wheel him over there to pump the gas, and it's gonna take her to jump out and pump the gas herself. All I'm saying is that you don't know people and you don't know people's situations. So what you're doing is judging people and deciding that you can help them live their lives better. And so you're gonna tell them how they should do that. And I think that people should really, what is judge not, lest ye be judged, but Christians be the first people in line to tell somebody else what they doing wrong. I just don't understand it. Y'all should become Wiccans like me and get y'all's lives together.
So let me ask you this. Both of y'all can answer. So if I'm out and I see a group of young men sagging their pants, right? Should I say anything to them?
I wouldn't.
If you feel compelled, go ahead. I mean, yeah, it's that's the thing when you say to correct somebody. that implies that the action that they're taking is wrong.
But is it right? So just to say, is it right to sag your pants in public?
Why isn't it? Why is it right? Why isn't it wrong?
Now,
I mean, seriously.
Come on.
That's not how I
show
would
your
do it.
draws in public. So we're going to say that we feel it's okay for young men to be showing their ass in public. Y'all really gonna say that?
No. And it's not for me to judge.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's not what I would do.
I don't like it.
That's not what I would do.
Is it right?
I don't like it.
That all right.
But there is no right or wrong.
There are very few things that are point blank right or wrong. Very few things. Wearing a bonnet is not one of them.
Why don't you like it?
Why don't I like what?
Why don't you like when young men sag their pants in public?
Oh, I just don't like seeing their butts.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and when it comes back to me, it all comes back to as well. It's kind of it has hints of the respectability politics aspect, which, she's saying people will treat you better. We've seen through history, man, that as a Black person, no matter how you dress, no matter what you do, if someone wants to degrade you, someone wants to treat you as a second-class citizen, how you're dressed, what you have on your head actually has no bearing on that.
I agree with that. I do think that she's learned the line for respectability politics, but I also do agree that how you carry yourself dictates how people treat you.
But that says more about the person, though. That says more about the
but it's
person.
a fact of life.
Right. It's a fact of
life.
life.
It's the exact same reason why I don't use the N-word, why we don't use the N-word on this show, because how can I empower, enlighten young Black men to be the best that they could be if they keep referring to themselves as something that's so low down?
Again, that's your opinion. Other people are entitled to have their own opinion. They can be just as passionate as you. That doesn't make them wrong and you right, except for in your mind. But there's no litmus test to say this is wrong, this is right. The N-word is wrong, the N-word is right. There's no test that you can say definitively that it's wrong or right. So that's why
But I think we get to a point though where we keep moving the bar for just, how do I want to say this? Just where are the standards? What's the standard for the community? What's the standard? I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not my place to approach somebody. Maybe it's not Monique's place to approach anybody. But, damn what other people think. Damn how people may view you. Let's just talk about us as Black people, right? What's the problem with us having a standard of how we're going to represent ourselves out in public? What's the problem with that?
There's none, but my dad wore a tie to school when he was in 5th grade. That's the standards change. With stuff that is acceptable 20 years ago, even.
Do that because of the uniform, or because that's how?
That's just how everybody. That's how everybody the kids dressed up and went to school. Stuff like that.
Well, and that's also the standard for where you are, where we are in life. Because where they live and where they are, how they look and how they dress is perfectly acceptable. And so what you're saying is you want them to look around and say, hey, all of you are doing it wrong. Monique is doing it right. Let me not do what I see every day. Let me have less respect for the people that raised me or that influence my everyday life. And let me care what Auntie Monique has to say about how I look. That's not going to happen. It's just not. And even if Monique taps somebody on the shoulder and says, hey, sis, hey, queen, don't leave the house with your bonnet on, she's going to be like, what? All you did was embarrass that girl in public. She's not going to change her life because you tapped her on the shoulder for 5 seconds. That's not how you influence change in people. You can show them something different. You can set an example, but that's all you can do.
I don't know. I guess for me, somebody approaching me with love and correcting me, I don't have no problem with that. And I think that maybe we become a little bit, I don't know if it's sensitive or whatever, because I know I'm a sensitive person. I've had people who corrected me, older brothers who corrected me, men who are clearly my elders, like my father's, my uncle's age, who corrected me and said, hey, listen, this is what you need to do, or come here, young fella, let me talk to you. And I didn't like it all the time. I didn't like it. But guess what? As I grew older, they were right. They were absolutely right. So when we just say, hey, listen, we just gonna let people do what they do or whatever, then where are we gonna end up as a community?
There's a lot of times they were wrong too, guaranteed. Everything that they told you was not right. Everything that they instilled in you,
I
you look
also
back
had
and
I
you
also had
change.
enough discernment to figure out, okay, what's right and what's wrong. But they were right. They were
Right.
right. They were
Again, we
right.
going back to right or wrong. I don't. You just tell me why it's wrong to wear a bonnet. I mean, other than you don't like the way it aesthetically looks on somebody. What's
Right. It's
wrong
not
with it?
hurting anyone.
And no, it's not hurting anybody, but I definitely think that it's something that's for the home and it doesn't exude any type of class. And
To you,
people gonna hate
you.
that. People gonna hate that I say that, but it just doesn't.
No, I don't
And
either.
I'm being
In
fair
your
about
eyes.
it.
No, in
For
your
a young
eyes.
dude who's walking around with a do-rag on his head, like what's wrong with you? Man, there was a little cat at my house that's with my son, and they were going to a graduation, and the boy was sagging his pants, and he was with my son. My son was sagging his pants because I would have checked him, and I said, "Say, man, pull your pants up." And he said, "My dad always taught me to have a baby sag." I said, "What?" He said, "My dad always taught me to have a baby sag."
I believe it.
I said, "What's a baby sag?" He said, "Well, you're not showing too much of your underwear, but you still sagging." And I just looked at him and I said, okay, well, his father taught him that way. So who am I to try to tell him his dad sounds like an effing idiot, which that's what I believe. But I just let it be. You know what I'm saying? I just let it be. So, I just think that we used to have a community approach to raising our family, raising our children. It used to be a community. Now we're getting so far individualistic that I think we're heading towards a problem. When you can't correct anybody, you can't say, hey, listen, now that's, man, maybe you should rethink that. I think it's a problem. And I also think that people just don't like Monique. I think people just don't like Monique for whatever. I think probably if Michelle Obama had said it, definitely wouldn't have been as much pushback.
Hey, but I was just about to say, I wonder what would have happened if Michelle Obama would have said it.
If Beyonce would have said it, the Beehive would have been like, "Oh, y'all better listen to Queen Bee. Y'all better take them bonnets off." I think that's just because it's Monique. People don't want to hear
it. But that comes with also history as well. You take somebody what they've said before and the experiences they've had, if you've had with them, that factors into all of that. So yeah, I believe if it was somebody else, maybe they would have put it a little more gently.
But again, she wasn't even harsh.
No, again, to me, the thing that stood out is, me personally, I'm not bothered by it, but I just, that's not how I was raised. If I ever have a daughter, I would not want her to do that. But for telling somebody that that's not how a queen dresses, you're not going to be treated well if you do that's absurd. That's giving other people free reign just because you have a bonnet on or you have house slippers on to treat you less than. And that's totally ridiculous to me.
And then who said we wanted to be a queen? Don't hate Queen Me. I don't have any responsibility to any of you people. I don't have a subject. I don't have a kingdom. I don't understand why Black people are so obsessed with being kings and queens. All of y'all wasn't kings and queens. Some of y'all was just regular folks. Just accept it. We could just be Africans and be great. We don't all have to run the continent. We ain't queens and kings. We just regular Black folks. And that's okay. But we all trying to queens in training. So when you get through telling me how I'm supposed to act and behave, then I get to be queen. Hey, queen, girl, bye. Leave me alone. I don't have any responsibility to any of you. So no, I'll just be Arika. I'll stick by that. And Arika is going to sometimes wear her bonnet out. And a lot of times wear blankets because I bring them to restaurants if I need it.
That's kind of nasty, in my opinion. That's nasty right there.
No, I did when we
nobody went your little
restaurants that are outside.
Nobody went your little nappy blanket.
My blankets are nice, and we were social distancing, so no one was around me in my blanket, and we were outside, and it was like 30 degrees outside. So
well, eat inside then. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody, it wasn't an option. It was COVID.
I have some damn smallpox blanket around me. You know what I'm saying?
I don't have any smallpox blankets. I'm
Hold the
brown.
blanket, you know, something. You better get that blanket on somewhere.
I don't got COVID. I know how to stay out people's face.
Yeah, but you know, I think y'all make a good point in terms of I see both sides when she says, okay, if you don't hold yourself to a certain standard, then this is how people will treat you. Um, I see that. I see both sides. So I can see how, like I said, the N word. If we're walking around here, N word this, N word this, N word that, N word this, then, you know, you'll internalize that. I think, you know, Rick, you talk about being the Wiccan, you know, with the power of the tongue is life or death. And what you say, you know, when you come to like the law of attraction, those things that you put out into the world, that energy you put out, it comes back to you. So you need to be speaking positively about yourself all the time. Now,
So
do I dress to the nines all the time? Absolutely not. I might be out in sweats and a t-shirt, and in some people's eyes, they may be like, look at that big sloppy dude. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to get on my high horse. However, I do think that there are some things that we can hold a standard to. And the stuff that you put on your head that you're supposed to wear to protect your hair while you sleep, you ain't protecting it. You ain't protecting it when you out at the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? You're not. Maybe in your situation, your one-off situation, Erika, with them curlers on. Cause I seem like women with them big curlers on, I can imagine that's a
yeah.
lot of work. But in every situation, at the airport, you need to be wearing your bonnet and your slippers and your pajamas, like you just rolled out of bed. So you just gonna roll out of bed
Man,
and walk to the airport.
you gotta take your shoes off. That's at the airport. So I mean,
So I
You
can
ain't
wear
showered. You
slides.
still got sleep in your eyes. Nobody would sit by you with that mess on. Like, get up out of
You
here.
assuming.
Come
And
on,
see,
y'all.
my thing is,
yeah.
if I paid $300 to get my hair braided and I'm about to sleep on the plane, yeah, I want my bonnet. And then like even with the N word, so I don't give the N word the same value that you give it. I don't think it's negative or positive. I think it depends on how it's used and who's using it. So to me, that word doesn't mean anything to me. But I think that once we empower something or decide that something is true, that we forget that everybody doesn't see things the same way that we do, that they didn't have the same experiences or the same traumas that shaped this line of reasoning that we have. There is no inherent good or bad, right or wrong. All there is our perception of what's happening. And when we start forcing other people to perceive life as we do, we're only creating strife within ourselves, because if she walked through that airport only worried about Monique and not worried about what other people had on, she wouldn't have even did this video, had all this feedback. It just is all so much unnecessary stuff. And once you start moving towards peace, you start realizing that the only thing you need to be worried about is your own thoughts, your own peace. That's it. You can set an example for people, and if people want to follow that example, that's on them, but that's pretty much it.
I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one because I feel like there's definitely room for us to guide and um, give direction and suggest correction to our younger generations. And when we get to this point where we just like, hey, listen, that's on them. I mean, we in a bad way. We in a bad way if we do that. I truly believe that. There were plenty of older men. I know Lav, you know, came up with it, but he probably gave you bad advice too. There was plenty of men who I really am thankful that gave a damn about me because they didn't have to, and they taught me stuff. They taught me how to dress, and sometimes they ain't teach me how to dress by telling me like, "Hey, this is what you do." They taught me by their example. I was a young man from Topeka, Kansas. When I got to Mizzou, you know how awkward and out of place I felt coming from this little country town and seeing everybody else. Okay, oh, that's how you dress. How many situations I got into where I was embarrassed because I was underdressed or because I didn't know, okay, this is how you comport yourself in these type of situations. So if I can help somebody not go through that embarrassment, if I can help somebody who's trying to elevate or to let somebody know, hey, listen, when you go over here, you have to come like this, then that's what I need to do. That's what I need to do. And if we take this laissez-faire approach that you two were talking about, that's a problem. That's a problem.
I think
but
that's
that's the
far
thing.
less.
The airport is not some mystical thing that we have to dress up for, and it's, oh my gosh, it's the airport. This
But
isn't.
I mean, but
This
who's talking
isn't
about dressing up though?
1955.
Who's talking about
I'm just
dressing up?
saying.
You could rock sweats and a t-shirt and be fine.
You can, correct.
That's what you decided. Is it
Yeah,
You coming
okay?
out with your little pajama set, you know, showing your come on, y'all. Like, for
Show
real.
my what?
What? I know. What's wrong with having pajama pants on? Like, seriously. I mean, literally people wear them every single day.
But Becky can wear leggings every single place on the planet, and that's okay. My thing is that my issue is not with the idea.
Arika, hold your train of thought. Hold your train of thought. But do you think I give a damn what Becky does?
The point is the judgment against Black women. That's my point. But when you say correction, to me, you're going far left by saying we need to be running around correcting these people.
Exactly.
I'm saying guidance is perfectly fine.
Yep,
Setting an example is perfectly fine.
Yep.
Having conversations with people you're close to and letting them know, hey, this was my experience. This is what I learned from it. This is something that you can take. What your people say? Take what speaks to you and leave what doesn't. But to say that I'm walking around correcting people, like when I teach the grant classes and I'm talking to these 20-year-old kids and I'm giving them advice on how to move and what to do, I'm doing just that. I'm giving them advice. I'm not correcting them. I'm not saying, hey, I wouldn't have wore that today. You don't look like you're in position to meet an attorney and have a conversation with an attorney who could potentially help you. I don't even think about what they have on. I think about how I have an opportunity to reach out to some young people and give them some legal advice and some life advice that they may not be able to get in their circle, in their community. I think about what I need to do, how I can pour into them. I don't think about how I can judge what they have on or what they're doing or what they are not doing. That's not my place. My place there is to be a resource. My place in life is to be a resource to our young people. And if I can guide them, great, but I'm not going to correct them because they're not doing anything necessarily right or wrong. They're doing something that I agree with or I disagree with. But it's not my place to run around correcting them and judging their whole life based on one interaction. Because you're not going to go up and ask them, well, hey, are you flying out tomorrow? Is that why you think it's acceptable to walk out the house in a bonnet? You're not going to do that. You just decide they've got a bonnet on and they don't have a valid excuse, or not an excuse that works for you. And that's problematic. You just can't, they've got enough stuff. These young people, they've got enough stuff coming at them. Just basically even like just trying to get through the day. I think they do. I think they need more love and compassion than correction.
I gotta break the rule because fuck out of here. that's why this generation is so sissified and soft as it is. Hopefully the LGBT people don't get me because I said sissified. But that's why they so punks and sorry now, because you want to tiptoe around saying stuff to them.
But this is the thing.
This was killing me about you, man. And I'm not trying to be confrontational. This is what killed the dudes that made us laugh. They wasn't always nice about it. There was times when they was harsh.
But that's part of it, though.
But guess what? It made us men.
So right, but again, that's part of it too, though.
Y'all keep being soft with these.
Nah.
And Arika, to your point, when you talked about police and Black women, that's why I said I don't like it when young Black men do it, and I don't like it when young Black women do it. I'm being fair across the board. But if y'all just keep being soft and keep being like, oh, I don't want to offend the kids. They got too much on them. Man, they got cartoons 24 hours a day. They got cell phones, laptops, FaceTime. They got all kind of crap we ain't have. Ain't nothing coming at them that makes them that they that soft where they can't be told, hey, listen, do better. Get out of here.
No, you go ahead. No, I'm saying go ahead. You walk up to a random cat, tap him on the shoulder, and say, I don't feel the need to go to a random people. No, but that's my point. She's talking about random people. That's my point. That's the point. You talk about we had a community, quote unquote, we were raised by the community. Well, back then we were forced to all live in the same community. So the people that were raising kids together, I knew his mom, or his mom knew my mom. The people down the street, I knew everybody. So they felt comfortable with that. Right now, we're not in that same situation. So there is no community to raise our kids like that, like it was done in the past. You can't apply that to present day situation because it's totally different. And part of that is because we have some people have gained financial resources to where they don't want to live in certain communities, or they are able to move beyond certain communities where they're feel the better opportunities for their kids and things like that. So she's talking about random people, you know, people that you mentor, people that you have a personal relationship with. Definitely give them advice. I have a young kid who I kind of play a mentor role to. He called me, it reminded me of this. He called me just yesterday and said last week at his job, he works in a warehouse. He was talking to a supervisor. Supervisor was basically like, yeah, you probably gonna have to cut your dreads if you want to move up. You know what I mean? To get into to go out into on the retail side and represent the company with customers and things like that. And, I said, so what do you think about it? I didn't say, you're wrong if you cut them. You're right if you don't cut them. I mean, you make the decision. I just told him, hey, in my opinion, this is how it should be done. But there's no right or wrong. Just like in this, if there's a young brother I know who's sagging, who I have a personal relationship with, I probably would tell him, like, hey, man, you shouldn't be walking around here like that. But again, at the end of the day, that's on him.
I think we need to be also talking about why we feel the need to raise these tough kids. Like, you talking about they all punks or whatever, like, who are they supposed to be tough for or tough against? Like, they're supposed to be like young adults. And just because people was hard on us and rode us all day long and treated us like crap doesn't mean it's got to slide down to them. I think that there's a balance, and we as a community haven't found that balance yet. I think that they were too hard on us, and maybe we are too soft on these kids, but there's some balance. And I don't think that not running up to strange kids telling them they're doing something right or wrong is being soft on them. I think that forming relationships with people, or even just being like a resource to people who are in your life or in your circle, your community, and letting them know, hey, this is how I've achieved the success I've maintained, or this is the lesson that I learned when I try to do things that you're doing right now, or whatever. But I don't think we're being too soft on them. I think it's important for us to start having different strategies for parenting, because the old strategies have us off, and I don't want my kids to be like me. I want them to be better than me. And I definitely don't want them to have the same mental issues or problems or tendencies that I have, because yeah, I was raised to be tough and I'm off. I wouldn't know. My whole goal was that they wouldn't be like me. Like that, I feel like I've achieved that goal to a certain extent. Now, there's some things that sometimes I'd be like, hey man, I'm the only one in this house that got hands. But then, like, is that a requirement? Like, do they need to have hands? I don't know.
I think you're taking what I said in terms of like being tough and being punks the wrong way. I don't mean and being able to fight and defend yourself, even though I think that's important. But how many times have you heard people our age talk about our children and talk about how much they just lack common sense, and how much we have done so much for them to try to make them better than us, that we basically gave them everything and they are entitled, and when they have to go and be independent, they're not ready. So when I talk about toughness, I'm talking about being able to handle the things that this life will throw at you. And I talk about, being hard on them. I don't mean being Joe Jackson, beating your kids every day for everything that they do. But I do think that eventually your children will get a new teacher once they leave your house. And that teacher is life. And that teacher is other people who don't love them unconditionally like you do. And if you don't prepare them for that, you are setting them up for failure. And if you think that you can wear your bonnet, wear your do-rag, sag your pants, or do anything and say, okay, if I bark loud enough to leave me alone, nobody's going to say anything, then you're going to try to do that in the wrong setting, and it's going to set you up for failure. So that's all I said. I think we all got valid points, but
yeah, I'm like you. I see both sides. I just, me personally, I maybe it was Monique. You might be right. Maybe it was just because it was Monique. I don't know. But
honestly, I mean, we've said that before. Honestly, sometimes it's the messenger, not the message. And I think in this situation, yeah, people are defensive because, oh, is this another thing? Like Rika said, this is another thing of, people piling on the black women. Okay, I could see that, but maybe, for a lot of people's eyes, this is valid. Because honestly, I saw a lot of black women say she's right. I saw a ton of black women say she's right. They don't like it. And, maybe it's just the messenger. So we'll see. But anyway, I think we talked about it enough. Make sure y'all subscribe to the show on Instagram, Facebook. Hold on. Make sure y'all follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at manlistenshow. And make sure that you subscribe to the show on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Refer us to somebody else. We need to get the followers up. We keep getting additional followers every week, but we need more. So make sure you tell everybody about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. We'll holler at you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Take that bonnet off.
Marv just hating Marv hating because he can't wear a do-rag no more.
Right.